Hey, y'all, what is today? Wednesday? You know, I'll be missing my days and losing my days. I'm all thrown off because of the holiday. But listen, happy Wednesday. Today, Wednesday, y'all. Happy Wednesday. Listen, okay? They coming for Diddy. They coming for Diddy. And they're not letting up. CNN is staying on his neck. They on his neck. Every chance CNN could get. They must be getting the best ratings of their life by covering this Diddy situation because they won't come up off his neck. Every chance they get, they doing a Diddy story. They talking about Diddy. And Rolling Stone said they spent 6 months, y'all, half a year. They spent 6 months speaking to witnesses, accusers, and gathering their evidence and information. Now, see, y'all beat us down over here. Y'all be beating us down. But how many times did I say they was having trouble with getting people to talk? Y'all took out the whip and was like, whoop, 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 beat me down. No, Diva, they coming for Diddy. They coming for him tomorrow. What they say in this interview, they was getting, people had trouble. Some people was like, no, I don't want to say nothing. The people are petrified. Forget about scared. They're petrified. But you know what? The feds and everybody else, they're not giving up. They're not giving up. They staying on Diddy's neck. So this morning, CNN came out and said that, listen, the feds, they speaking to people, they trying to get them an indictment. And then right after Rolling Stone, boom, they dropped the bomb. Investigating this thing for 6 months. Now, one of the saddest pieces of this story is to find out that this man probably was a terror from birth. He was in the nursery in the hospital, stealing a pacifier from the baby next to him. A whole terror. Because they back up this violence, allegedly, to when he was at Howard University. They said he had a belt beating on the girlfriend. Beating her down. Now, all those men on that university, because when he was going there, he wasn't Puffy yet. He wasn't Diddy. He wasn't Brother Love. He didn't have all that money. So you got all these men on campus, and nobody helped that girl from getting beat with the belt? Now, we have come to learn that these universities, not just Howard, because we learned NYU did it too. I think it was NYU where we read that article. They likes to cover up the crimes that go on these campuses. So here we are as parents, putting all our good coins together, calling a village, RTing them. Little so-and-so, they graduate from high school, they off to college, throw the party, everybody come, they bring a refrigerated towels, washcloths. Even the uncle don't really have no money. He's like, listen, I ain't got much, but here go $5 just to add to the pool. Get them off to college. There's people paying loans 10 years removed from school, and they still paying student loans, all for us to send our kids so that they could be allegedly abused at the college? If something happened to one of your loved ones, your student, your child at these colleges, sue their behinds off. You paying $20, $30, $50, $60, $70,000 coming out owing Sally Mae, Craig Mack, and all of them. And your daughter's getting beat down by the boyfriend on the college? And nobody came to her rescue? This man been getting away with this stuff for a long time. Imagine the what do you call it? Imagine the genes and how what am I trying to say here? Listen, his father was a gangster. And his father was unalive when Diddy was only 3. I think that's how the story goes. So imagine still having that gangster in you and you never even was really raised by the father. Somebody do me a favor, page Janice Combs. We need to speak to Mama Combs. And since we're going to speak to Mama Combs, why don't we go ahead and page Mama Kingston too? You're supposed to be raising your child to go out in society and be a good husband, a good wife, or just a good citizen, a good neighbor. Oh my goodness, too good to leave you now. Yikes. Is that so? If that is so, it speaks a lot to what he ended up doing in his life. Somebody else to confirm this for me. Was his mother the P word? Because it's interesting. He ends up allegedly hiring all of these S workers. Oh, shucks, Felicia. I want to thank y'all for the information. That adds a whole nother layer to his story. Because is it ironic or was it his destiny that he ends up wanting to have these freak offs and hire sex workers allegedly and paying them? Did he learn it from the best? Did he learn it from his mother? Like Sean Kingston. I'm starting to believe the rumor major changes. It's a connection there. It's a connection there. Because I kept saying, what did Diddy see growing up that he is so this way? They say he a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. He runs hot, he runs cold. And you better get to running when he's running hot. When he got that temper. What happened to him? If his mother was, did he see too much going in and out? Was he exposed at a very young age? You don't wake up like this. He saw something, or maybe he saw too much. And maybe that's why the mother cried. Because she's ashamed and embarrassed. Because she knows what part she played in this situation. It's a mess. Oh, shoot. You said Mommy D. We got to have, Mother's Day pass. But we need a Mother's Day special. And we need to speak to all the mamas. I want to speak to, what's that guy from Sweetie Pies? What's her name? I want to speak to that mother too. Tim is locked up for life now for taking the life of his own nephew. We got to speak to the mamas. Yeah, Miss Robbie. Thank you, Tay-Tay. Tim Norman, yes. We need to speak to the mamas. Janice Combs. Paige and Janice Combs. He terrorized people back in the Howard days. We're going to go through this Rolling Stones article. It's a lot. It's a lot. But you know, a lot of times we see stuff and you know, you can't make this stuff up. Before I get into this Diddy and this Rolling Stones article, listen, I guess Diddy is going to take over 2024. If I'm on vacation when he gets locked up, we're going to talk about it when I get back. I'm not breaking, I'm not stopping vacation to talk about Diddy. I'm going to be late to the party, but we'll talk about it when I get back. The walls are closing in on him. They're coming for him. Now, you know how I feel over here. I still feel bad for the kids. Yes, I do. I feel bad for them. They don't know a life without money. And unfortunately, they're about to find out. They don't know what it's like to have to, they probably never even been in a supermarket. They're going to have to start shopping for their own food. They're going to be living amongst us. This is horrible. They're going to be living amongst us. And maybe the twins could go live with Kimora Lee Simmons. Now, I ain't judging nobody's motherhood, but Kimora got a whole bunch on her hands already. She got a bunch of kids. Then she got the one dating the 90-year-old. Now, I'm going to slow down. Yeah, they better start clipping coupons. Katrina, they're going to have to. We got to show them how to do it. Download the apps. They better start downloading the apps to their local supermarkets. And they better get themselves a Target Red card. They don't know nothing about this life. We got to help them out. Send them a little memo or something. Go to Macy's on the sale days. Oh, my goodness. They don't know this life. I really do feel bad for them. And you know that the girls, they going to college. I don't know what college they got accepted to or if they're going. But they may have to rethink their plans and sign up for the local community college. This is terrible. It is. It's bad. It's really bad. So hold on. Before I get into the Diddy story, let me show you, because this has got to be, I never seen nobody this dumb in my life. Hold on, let me make sure. I don't know if y'all saw this today, but we got to see this real quick. Hold on one second, y'all. You have got to be dumb, stupid, or both. Where you got a virtual court date because your license is suspended, and you driving, talking about, hold on. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. People is just beyond stupid. Let's look at this real quick.
Assistant Public Defender Natalie Tate for Mr. Harris, who should be present in Zoom.
Mr. Harris, are you driving?
Actually, I'm pulling into my doctor's office, actually. So just give me 1 second. I'm parking right now.
Wait. You stationary?
I'm pulling in right now at this second. Yes, I am.
All right. What are we doing?
Your Honor, we are respectfully requesting an adjournment in this matter, up possibly 2 to 4 weeks if the court would allow.
Okay. So maybe I don't understand something. This is a driving while license suspended?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And he was just driving. And he didn't have a license.
Is with the charges, Your Honor, yes.
No, I'm looking at his
Yes.
record. He doesn't have a license. He's suspended and he's just driving.
That is correct, Your Honor.
Hello?
1 minute, Mr. Harris.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Because the judge is about to.
Wait, hold on.
So defendant's bond is revoked in this matter. Defendant is to turn himself into the Washington County Jail by 6 p.m. today. Failure to turn himself in will result in a bench warrant with no bond.
Yeah, that's what you call it, idiot.
What?
That's a stupid idiot. That's what you call a stupid idiot. First of all, I would have never answered the thing with my camera on, and then I would have at least got to a place to stop. This is
Oh
crazy.
my
I'm saying
God.
I was saying, look, I would have stopped or did something. I wouldn't have answered. How stupid could you be?
Listen. I see somebody trying to get backstage. This backstage is full with full house. Right now. Listen, I saw that and I said, I cannot. Then he realized how dumb and stupid. He's like, yeah, hold on, Your Honor. Don't worry. I'm pulling in right now. You doing virtual court for a suspended license and you driving. He said, turn yourself in now. Now you got to 6 o'clock and you need to be here. Okay. Even this darn the defendant, she was laughing. Listen, guys, we got to get into this story. I just wanted y'all to have a good laugh before we get into all of this seriousness regarding Diddy. It is insane. So early this morning, I got a call for the person that should be on it, and said on CNN said they're gonna indict this man. Okay, they pulling the people together. They gathering the information, and then soon after, boom, the bomb dropped. Rolling Stones, they came out, and I hope we don't get disconnected. I see it storming over here in Jersey. Rolling Stones, they came out and said they was investigating this thing for 6 months. 6 months. And I'm sorry, guys, backstage is packed. It's packed. We're full house. I see people trying to get in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this story. There's a lot. You could probably just Google and read information on this. They said it's all in the name. Be careful what you name your kids. Be careful what you call yourself. Be careful what you allow people to call you. And be careful what you name your business and your company. Suge Knight, their thing was called Death Row Records. Not a good name. You got Diddy saying bad boy for life, and he ain't never lied. Apparently, when you go back, this man has been a bad boy his entire life. Okay? So, and look at the picture they got of this man. So, Rolling Stones, Bad Boy for Life, Sean Combs' History of Violence. For decades, literally for decades, Sean Diddy Combs was hip-hop boisterous showman. Now, dozens of former friends, employees, and bad boy artists allege an abuse menacing figure behind the facade. Okay, then you got this these two young ladies who did this article. As he took to the stage at the BET Awards in June 2022 to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, Sean Diddy Combs was elated. He was up there performing. I can't play it because I would get dinged for that video, but y'all can go watch it because they allowed him to have a whole long speech too, right? He was like, yeah. He bowed, punctuating his words with triumphing jumps. The adoring crowd, who gave him a sustained standing ovation, included his mother, Mama Combs, and his children, longtime friends and music industry peers, Kanye West, Janelle Monáe, Babyface, and Lil Wayne. After 3 decades of relentless hustling that took him from hungry teenage intern to A&R executive producer, label and personnel, respected fashion designer and household brand name, Diddy has seemingly reached the top of his career. He closed his eyes and repeatedly thanked God. He got down on one knee and praised his mother. Thank you, Mama Combs. He name-checked a laundry list of people who mentored and inspired him. Anything I do is through love, okay? Because you know, lately he wants to do his own side. Everything is love with the L. Combs proclaimed early in a 9-minute speech, that's what I evolved to be, and that's what I'm doing right now. So he thought he could simply throw on some red, call himself Love, name his 7th child Love, that was going to be atonement for all his dirty deeds. But little did he know there was going to be more than that is going to be needed to clean up the mess that he'd done over the decades. But soon Combs struck a more somber tone. He said, I was in a dark place for a few years. He said, a few years? When you beat the girl at the Howard University, honey, that's decades. He said, I got to give a special thank you to the people that was really there for me. He listed friends and advisors, then looked directly into the camera. He added Cassie for holding me down in the dark times. And he said, love. He raised one hand to make an L sign and held his gaze steady, silently for several seconds. Combs and Cassandra Cassie Ventura, a former singer for the iconic Bad Boy record label, had split 4 years earlier, but he had been openly pinning her ever since. He posted photos of her online and urged her to sing to Michael Jackson, The Lady in My Life. He publicly congratulated her on her first pregnancy with her husband. His comments at the awards show were part of a pattern of behavior. So he was silently, even though they was broken up, she was married, moved on with her life, he was still kind of poking the bear. But that's Diddy for you. His comments at the awards show were part of a pattern of behavior, one that had been tormenting Ventura for years. When she learned of her ex's latest remarks, sources say Ventura was distressed. Almost 18 months later, November 2023, Ventura sued Combs, claiming he held her in a violent form of sexual servitude throughout their relationship and urged her upon their final breakup in 2018. She invoked Combs' BT speech in her filing for Miss Ventura, the dark times were those she spent trapped by Mr. Combs in a cycle of abuse, violence, and sex trafficking. She said Combs' brutal beatings, one of them captured in a Halloween hotel surveillance video obtained by CNN in May, left her with bruises, a burst lip, black eyes, and extensive trauma. For Grammy-winning songwriter Tiffany Red, a friend of Victoria's who worked closely with the singer during the height of the alleged abuse, Combs' words from the BET stage have been a taunt. It's like harassment, she explains. You're still effing with her. Leave her alone. Leave her the F alone. In the 5 years after the breakup with Combs, Victoria remained silent. While he was posting about her pregnancy in 2019, she was negotiating in distress behind the scenes to escape her Bad Boy contract. Red says, despite Ventura signing a 10-album deal in 2006, Bad Boy only released one studio album by her. Combs was allegedly trying to tie her separation agreement to a non-disparagement clause. It's not like we were negotiating with just her record label, Red says. We were negotiating with her abuser. Through her lawyer, Ventura declined to speak for this article. Combs did not respond to a request for a comment on this allegation. At some point, Ventura checked herself into a rehabilitation center to deal with the physical and psychological repercussions of her time with Combs and found renewed purpose in being a mom. Her lawsuit says when she eventually gathered her strength and stepped forward, a flurry of other lawsuits followed. 5 more women have since accused Combs of R and violent SA, dating back as far as 1990. 2 of them who claimed that Combs secretly recorded their S encounters and showed the footage to others without their consent. Music producer Little Rodney Jones also sued, alleging Combs groped his genitals and forced them to solicit S workers and perform X acts to the pleasure of Mr. Combs. While Combs would eventually take responsibility for the assault captured on a surveillance video, he has vehemently denied all other allegations against him. The day Ventura filed her complaint, he blasted it as a shakedown. based on outrageous lies. For the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million. Okay. And remember, because so many people was like, oh, as soon as the case came out, he settled. We've been telling y'all over here that they were negotiating behind the scenes. He didn't think she was going to push the button for months. And he kept saying no to the number. But then he had to end up saying yes to a bigger number, probably, once she dropped the suit. So it says right here, for the past 6 months, Mr. Combs has been subjected to Ms. Ventura's persistent demand of $30 million under the threat of writing a damaging book about their relationship, which was unequivocally rejected as blatant blackmail. His lawyer, Ben, said. In response, Ventura's lawyer, Douglas Rigdor, said Combs offered Ventura 8 figures to silence her and prevent the filing of this lawsuit. The parties came to an undisclosed settlement within 24 hours of Ventura's filing. When the fourth R accuser sued in December, Combs 54 issued another passionate denial. He said, enough is enough. For the last couple of weeks, I have sat silently and watched people try to assassinate my character, destroy my reputation and my legacy. Sickening allegations have been made against me by individuals looking for a quick payday. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not do any of the awful things being alleged. I will fight for my name, my family, and for the truth. For many, the lurid allegations against Combs were jarring, in part because he had risen to such great heights as a bankable bond vivant who threw the best parties from New York City to the Hamptons to Hollywood. He's a pop culture who walked under a parasol held by his campy velvet Farnsworth Bentley in St. Tropez and turned up at a Met Gala in a Swarovski crystal-encrusted tuxedo and a floor-length cake. He rapped about Bentleys and Benjamins and held court at his over-the-top annual white parties attended by Leonardo DiCaprio, Beyonce, Mariah Carey, and Martha Stewart. He called himself the Great Gatsby and considered circus showman to P.T. Byrne and his muse. Now the spotlight Combs consistently chased is trained on his alleged crimes in staggering scenes that underscore his fall from grace. Heavily armed Homeland Security stormed his sprawling Los Angeles and Miami estates as part of the federal ST investigation on March 25th. Investigators tore through his offices and bedrooms, leaving cables dangling from a command center and multiple safes wide open. 3 gleaming Grammys and an Oscar sat atop a gutted console like relics of a crumbling regiment. A crestfallen Combs was later seen alone, a cell phone hanging useless in his hand as he slowly paced around Miami airport. His vacation in the Bahamas was canceled. His once fortified homes breached. His adult sons handcuffed, and his empire on the brink. All right, I'm going to stop there and I'm going to get help reading through this. We are at the part here while the raids made global headlines. Felicia, you're in the building. I already let everybody in. So y'all know what? Let's just for the record say choo choo, because everybody has ordered the train. Felicia, do you want to go ahead and read a little bit from here?
Okay, good evening, everybody. While the raids made global headlines, the silence from Combs' famous friends was palpable. This felt different than before, when he could use a checkbook, a high-powered attorney, and a media blitz to overcome scrapes with the law, when his charisma, influence, and connections would allow him to shake off allegations of violence or outcry from his disenfranchised artists. Reparations is getting closer and closer, former Bad Boy artist Mace said a day after the raids. Quote, the big paycheck. Oh, the big payback.
Oh, come on now. They keep talking, what's his name? James Brown, the big payback. Oh, yeah. Come on now.
Over the past 6 months, Rolling Stone conducted dozens of interviews with Combs' former friends, acquaintances, employees, and bad boy artists, as well as industry insiders. Out of 300 plus people contacted for this investigation, more than 50 were willing to speak about their experiences. Several would do so only off the record, citing a fear of retribution, parentheses. Some requested compensation in exchange for their stories. Rolling Stone does not pay for interviews, close parentheses. Many declined to participate, wanting to distance themselves from Combs. I'm trying to leave that part of my life behind me, says one former employee. Those who did speak about Combs described a complicated man with opposing personas. Outwardly, they see a tastemaker who is unapologetically driven, generous, and jovial, even silly at times. He can be the same privately, but associates who got close enough to him discovered something darker behind the facade, a menacing figure who desperately wants to be accepted and admired, who uses public declarations of devotion, splashy donations, and boasts that he is, quote, brother love, close quote, to hide an undercurrent of alleged abuse and violence that, in one previously unreported allegation, traces back to before his career even started. Combs wielded his growing power to bend people to his will. Sources claim sending staffers to win back one-time girlfriend Jennifer Lopez, beating a label executive bloody after he became romantically involved with Combs' ex-partner Kim Porter, and allegedly trying to solicit X from a woman on his payroll. As part of this investigation, Rolling Stone sent Combs a detailed list of questions about the new and pending allegations. He did not specifically address any of them. Quote, Mr. Combs cannot comment on settled litigation, will not comment on pending litigation, and cannot address every allegation picked up by the press from any source, no matter how unreliable, close quote. His lawyer, Jonathan Davis, tells Rolling Stone, quote, we are aware that the proper authorities are conducting a thorough investigation and therefore have confidence any important issues will be addressed in the proper forum where the rules distinguish facts from fiction, close quote. Joy Dickinson Neal, who is suing Combs for sexual assault, tells Rolling Stone that her decision to come forward, quote, isn't about money. It's about making sure the world sees that this man who rose to the level of a, quote, icon is actually sick and has left so many victims in the wake of his unpunished, disgusting behavior for years, close quote. For Ventura, Combs presented as her flashy, established 37-year-old label boss when he pulled up into a bathroom and forcibly kissed her on her 21st birthday in 2007, leaving her in tears, according to her complaint. She says he was holding the keys to her nascent music career when he pressured her to consume Uggs and have X that same year. Combs quickly became deeply entrenched in every aspect of her life, paying for her apartment, having her medical records sent directly to him, and lashing out for perceived slights, the lawsuit says. When Ventura tried to move on and had a brief romantic relationship with the musician Kid Cudi in 2011, Combs allegedly beat her. Combs later told Ventura he planned to blow up the rapper's car in his driveway. The lawsuit claims in a statement to the New York Times in November, Cudi confirmed that his car exploded. Quote, this is all true, close quote, he said. In her suit, Ventura said she learned to, quote, blindly submit to Mr. Combs to avoid vicious beatings. Eventually, her lawsuit claims the abuse extended to ex trafficking, with Combs ordering her to slather herself in oil, get high and drunk, and have relations with male ex workers while Combs pleasured himself and filmed the interactions, which he dubbed freak offs. She learned to disassociate during these horrific encounters, she says. The public got a disturbing window into Combs' treatment of Ventura in the surveillance video unearthed by CNN. In it, a towel-clad Combs is seen pursuing a barefoot and fleeing Ventura after he allegedly punched her in the face during an FO in an LA hotel in 2016. At an elevator bank, Combs throws Ventura to the floor, kicks her, stomps on her, and attempts to drag her back to the room before grabbing what appears to be a vase off of a table and hurling it in her direction. Ventura describes the incident in her lawsuit and alleges that Combs paid the hotel $50,000 to obtain the footage. Screenshot from Combs' attack on Ventura captured in hotel surveillance footage in 2016. After years in silence and darkness, I am finally ready to tell my story and to speak up on behalf of myself and for the benefit of all other women who face violence and abuse in their relationships, Ventura said in a statement accompanying her lawsuit. Quote, "This was an opportunity to speak up about the trauma I have experienced and that I will be recovering for the rest of my life." Close quote. I'm at page 4.
Yes. All right, I'll come back in and then I'll put somebody else up in a minute. As Victoria's damning allegations were on the verge of going public, Combs was strategizing, according to Jones, who produced multiple songs on Combs' Grammy-nominated 2023 release, the Love album, Off the Grid. He detailed how he planned to leverage his relationship with celebrity pastor Bishop T.D. Jakes to soften the impact on his public image. Jones wrote in a sworn declaration in April, Jakes did not reply to a request for comment. Publicly, Combs seemingly jumped into overdrive, producing positive press. He fulfilled his $1 million promises to alumni Howard University and the football program at another historically Black college, Jackson State University. He launched Empower Global, an e-commerce platform for Black entrepreneurs. And in a drop in his new album, proclaiming he is in his love era, he announced that he was giving bad boy artists and songwriters their publishing rights back. Only some artists say they were offered right backs. And Danny Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she refused because her offer came with a mandatory non-disclosure agreement. So she let it go. A year before her breakup with Combs, Ventura conceptualized a short film titled Cassie that appears telling in hindsight. In a voiceover speaking about the film's fictionalized romance, she says, "How do you just walk away from it and escape it? I just want to be free." All right. Does any other panelists want to step in and read a little bit from here?
I'll read, Diva.
Okay, go ahead, Leo. And then I'll come to you afterwards, Julius. Go ahead, Leo.
Okay. Section 1. Puff is out here acting crazy. He is beating her. The hotel security footage prompted horrified reactions around the world. Forced to acknowledge his actions, Combs made a rare admission of guilt, but tailored it to that incident. "I effed up. I hit rock bottom. I make no excuses. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted." He claimed he went to therapy and rehab and was truly sorry. Ventura's lawyers and Combs' apology showed his pathetic desperation. Okay. Many who watched footage of the assault were stunned, even those who known Combs for years. LaJoyce Brookshire, a former publicity executive at Bad Boy, says she was disturbed to learn that these types of actions could have occurred and that Puffy could stand in my face the next day with a straight face. That shakes me to my core. Several women who attended Howard with Combs, however, had seen signs of a controlling and abusive personality decades ago. Combs stated at the esteemed college in the fall of 1980. Oh, okay, wait a minute. Yeah, Combs started at the esteemed college in the fall of 1987 and quickly earned a reputation for throwing legendary rowdy parties. Flamboyant and boisterous, he was often seen driving his convertible around campus and passing out flyers. Though he left after his sophomore year, Combs turned Howard into a pipeline for his enterprises, teaming up with future labor execs and producers Harvey Pierre, Mark Pitts, and Derek D. Knox, Angeletti, all key figures in Bad Boy's early success. Shantae Page, a former A&R executive for Universal Motown Record Group, was among those who say they had a positive experience with Combs at Howard, calling his iconic parties a once-in-a-lifetime type of vibe. He was a go-getter from the start, she says, always in the know. But other women describe previously unreported incidents involving unwanted touching and fits of rage. One woman says she kept as far away as possible after Combs caressed her back without warning and asked if she would be willing to meet one of his friends. Another former student recalled that Combs flew off the handle after she objected to him cutting a cafeteria line. While the moments may seem small, they share flashes of danger that will soon explode. A third former student recalls how the future mogul would tap on the window of an English class to get a girlfriend to ditch. The visits became noticeably unwelcome. The classmates tell Rolling Stone she would tense up when Combs appeared. The student who sat next to the woman in class recalls he just had a weird control thing. I felt like she was fearful. The classmate who requested anonymity due to fear of retribution says her concerns were validated when Combs appeared outside the school's Harriet Tubman quad dorm and started screaming in a belligerent manner for his girlfriend to come outside. The classmate says other women soon began running through the halls, knocking on doors in panic. They were sounding the alarm that Combs, known then by the name Puff, was attacking the young woman outside, she recalls. Puff is out here acting crazy. He's beating her, the fellow student said, according to the classmate. He screamed and hollered and acted a stone fool until she came downstairs. Another Howard student who witnessed the alleged attack tells Rolling Stone. She says Combs used what appeared to be a belt to strike the young woman all over the place. And speaking on the condition of anonymity due to the sensitive nature of the incident, the witness said Combs appeared super angry and was screaming at the top of his lungs. She says he whipped her butt, like really whipped her butt. The witness says the woman was clearly terrorized. She was trying to defend herself a little bit. She was crying, and we were telling him, get off of her. We were screaming for her. A third source also recalled the alleged assault to Rolling Stone. The woman at the center of the alleged attack declined to comment. Combs was born with a short fuse, telling Jet Magazine he earned his name as a kid because he would always huff and puff when he got mad. I had a temper. That's why my friends started calling me Puffy. He said his mom, Janice, a former kindergarten teacher, described him as a ham. Combs barely knew his father, Melvin, a handsome drug dealer working for the Harlem Kingpin, working for a Harlem Kingpin. He was murdered in 1972 at the age of 33, when Combs was just a toddler. Throughout the years, Combs mourned the loss of his father figure, but Melvin had a profound influence on him nevertheless. If we didn't know our parents, we still have their DNA in us. We have their genes, Combs has said. I have his hustler's mentality and his hustler spirit, his drive, his determination, and his swag.
He ain't never lie. He never lied. His hustler spirit, his hustle mentality, his hustler drive, he had it all in him. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you know what? This is new because I didn't know where he got the name Puff. I thought it was from inhaling them substances. Yeah. I did not know that's how he got the name.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Janice moved the family from Harlem to the suburbs of Mount Vernon, 12 miles north, Combs straddled desperate worlds. Okay. In one, he was a defensive back on the football team at his all-boys Catholic high school. In the other, he rode a train to the city, immersing himself in its burgeoning hip-hop scene. I didn't know exactly what he would do, but he was having a blast. Wait a minute. I didn't know exactly what he would do, but he was blasting me out of the house with his mix kit I bought him when he was 13, making that noise and scratching those records, Janice told Vibe in 1993. After a taste of celebrity at Howard, Combs itched for more. He was hell-bent on breaking into the music industry, simultaneously attending college, working a part-time internship at Uptown Records back in New York City. It was Uptown artist Heavy D, a neighbor in Mount Vernon, who brokered the job interview after Combs repeatedly badgered the rapper at their local pizza spot. Former Uptown A&R VP Kurt Woodley tells Rolling Stone. Combs commuted from Howard to the job, evading the train fare, always been a crook, evading the train fare by hiding from the conductor in the bathroom. He dropped out of school to work at Uptown full time, eventually becoming CEO. Andre Harrell's mentee. It's not like we were negotiating with just a record label. We were negotiating with an abuser. Combs' ascent at Uptown, by now part of his lore. He helped newcomers Mary J. Blige and Jodeci go to multi-platinum after reshaping their images. He reinvented the remix and ushered hip-hop soul into the cultural lexicon. He threw exclusive Diddy house parties at the since shuttered Manhattan hip hop club Red Zone that even his older hip hop Uptown colleagues jockeyed to attend. He had the ability to convince people that whatever he was doing or wherever he was, that he was the ish. Dan Chasmus, author of The Big Payback, The History of the Business of Hip Hop, tells Rolling Stone. He understood more than anyone how the innovations of hip hop, specifically sampling and using classic rap records as a basis for R&B songs, and would be really powerful for a generation. As Combs' star was rising at Uptown, his predatory instincts resurfaced, according to the SA lawsuit filed by Joy Dickinson-Neal last November. Dickinson-Neal acted opposite Combs in a 1990 music video and received and received what she considered a warning from Bronx rapper Sister Soldier to keep her distance. Given his infamous reputation, Sister Soldier did not reply to a request for comment.
Ooh,
Joy,
Soldier.
I ain't know nothing about this either. Dickinson Neal with Combs in a 1990 music video. She alleges Combs awed her in 1991, filming the attack and showing it to others. He denies the claim. Dickinson Neal says she reluctantly agreed to a dinner date with Combs in January 1991 while she was a college student paying for her studies with a restaurant job. Weary of being alone with him, she requested that they dine where she worked. She alleges Combs spiked the drink when she used the restroom and later persuaded her into taking a hit of substance. Okay. She says her legs went rubbery and a short time later, and that Combs awed her at the nearby residence. She also claims that Combs filmed the attack, showed the video to others like a trophy. Though a rep from Combs denied the allegations at the time, this 32-year-old story is made up and not credible. Mr. Combs never assaulted her. Combs' lawyers have moved to dismiss the case and calling the allegation false, offensive, and salacious. Mike Niece Lewis, who worked with Dickinson Neal at the short-lived PMD Records, told Rolling Stone that she confided in him at the office about the alleged attack in the early 1990s. Combs and Bad Boy came up in a conversation, and Lewis says Dickinson Neal's demeanor abruptly changed. Lewis claims that Dickinson Neal told him that she had a very bad experience with Combs, keeping her head down as she talked. I believe Joy, he says. I just knew from what she was telling me that it still affected her even 2 years later. As Michelle, attorney for Dickinson Neal, and another accuser, Crystal McKinney, the amount of irreparable harm to my clients' mental health and professional lives cannot be overstated. Within hours of Dickinson Neal filing her complaint, another woman sued Combs for R. Liza Gardner claims that she was 16 in 1990 when she and a friend met Combs and uptown singer Aaron Hall at an MCA Records event in Manhattan. Gardner alleges the men were very flirtatious and handsy, feeding the girls drinks and inviting them to Hall's residence for an after party. She alleges that Combs offered her more alcohol at Hall's home in New Jersey and forced her into relations despite her protests. While she was still shocked and traumatized and trying to get dressed, Hall allegedly barged into the room, pinned her down, and awed her too. Garner claims an irritated Combs later showed up where she was staying and began choking her until she almost passed out. Combs feared the women would tell his girlfriend what he and Hall had done, the lawsuit claims. Combs' legal team denied Garner's allegations, calling them a money grab. But another woman who says she was with Gardner that night, the night of the alleged attack, corroborated many of the details that Garner's lawsuit and a sworn affidavit filed in mid-May. The woman, who is the younger sister of the friend mentioned in Gardner's complaint, said she has a photo of herself with Gardner and Hall from the evening in question. She recalled frantically looking around Hall's apartment for her sister and Gardner after they disappeared with Combs and Hall. The then 15-year-old said she walked into a room and saw a man watching whatever Puffy was doing to Liza. The woman wrote that she awoke the next morning at a different location where an upset Gardner said Combs had just shown up there and choked her. Hall did not respond to a request for comment.
Woo.
Back in the Uptown office, Combs' inflated ego, oversized opinions, and Machiavellian scheming were becoming a problem for his peers. He went from internally divisive to openly controversial in December of 1991, when he and Heavy D helped organize a celebrity charity basketball game at City College of New York that left 9 people unalive, aged 15 to 28, and dozens injured in a stampede. Combs shrieked responsibility, claiming he had tried to enlist help from the NYPD and that he had personally administered CPR to several people. But an incident report ordered by then Mayor David Dinkins faulted him for allowing inexperienced underlings to handle the event planning and found that reckless overpromotion had drawn too many people without tickets to the event. With the city investigating possible crime charges, lawsuits mounting, and rivals pushing Harrell to cut Combs loose, the Uptown exec urged Combs to lay low. A terrified Combs spent months holed up in a Manhattan hotel with his mother, according to Kirk Burroughs. Bad Boy co-founding partner and President Burroughs was fired from Bad Boy in 1997. In 2003, he sued Combs for allegedly threatening him with a baseball bat and coercing him into signing over his stake in the company. He claimed his claims were dismissed as beyond the statute of limitations. After the controversy subsided and Combs returned to Uptown, he still considered himself Harrell's heir apparent, but his access to the mentor was restricted. He spent much of 1992 producing Blige's landmark debut with What's the 411, gaining redemption in the album's acclaim. Around this time, he founded his own Uptown imprint, Bad Boy Entertainment, where he co-signed his own artists and make extra cash. Burroughs remembers jealous Uptown execs referring to Combs as Satan and flipping him off as they walked by his small offices in the Uptown building. Harrell soured on him too, as Woodley recalls. Harrell said, "I'm gonna fire Puff, and he's getting a little too big for himself. He's bothering people," with pressure mounting. Harrell fired Combs in July of 1993. Uptown was supposed to oversee the album release of Combs' newest signee, Christopher Wallace, aka the Notorious B.I.G., but Combs was free to find a new home for his fledgling label. The termination was devastating to Combs, Burroughs said, leaving the 23-year-old crying buckets of tears outside the office. He loved Andre, Burroughs said. He loved Uptown, and he didn't understand what Bad Boy was going to be. "I cried for a couple of days. I felt like I wanted to jump off a building," Combs told Rolling Stone in 1995. "I think at times I was hard to work with. Possibly I was doing ish that an a-hole would do, just abusing the power. But that was only a little bit of time. Okay, I'm done.
Woo! Thank you, Leo, for that. I appreciate you. Part 2 is the making of a mobile. Who would like to read now?
I'll read it.
Go ahead. Thank you, Julius.
Cast out of Uptown and blamed for a tragedy that claimed the 9 lives, Combs could have faded into obscurity, but he was scrappy and determined, quickly securing a reported $10 million deal from Orchestra Records, Clive Davis label, that kept Bad Boy Entertainment alive. Now he was at the helm, a skeleton crew eager to turn artists into superstars and cement hip-hop as a mainstream genre. While the world did not understand the power of hip-hop, I was working in it and watching it unfold, says Michelle Joyce, Bad Boy's first director of marketing. I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't if it was going to be it was going to pop. It was when. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. Hours were brutal. Pay was low. And the workload intense.
Hold on, Julius. You're doing good. But hold on. You see that it's a theme here. The
Yep.
hours were brutal. The pay was low. And the workload was intense. Okay,
Absolutely.
go ahead now.
Okay. The next summer, only 1 year after Combs' dismissal from Uptown, their work paid off with Craig Mapp's ubiquitous Flavor in Your Ear and the notorious B.I.G.'s One More Chance. In the next 3 years, Bad Boy would become the premier label for upcoming hip-hop and R&B artists, churning out chart-topping albums from Faith Evans, Total, and 112, and soundtracking clubs and radio stations nationwide. And in Wallace, Bad Boy had a budding superstar, Biggie Smalls, the storytelling genius with the effortless flow. That's true. Still, Combs was volatile, Burroughs says. He once saw Combs attack a woman inside Bad Boy's office in 1994. He and another ex-employee tell Rolling Stone that they had to tear Combs off the woman after hearing... I'm going to say that again. Can I say that again?
Go ahead now, talk. Go ahead. You could do it.
Burroughs says he once saw Combs attack a woman inside Bad Boy's offices in 1994. He and another ex-employee tell Rolling Stone that they had to tear Combs off the woman after hearing screams and the sound of shattering glass. The woman declining Rolling Stone's request for comment. Felicia Newsom, the first manager of Bad Boy's recording studio, Diddy's house,
Daddy's house.
Ooh, let me say that again. Felicia Newsom, the first manager of Bad Boy's recording studio, Diddy's house, says she once held Combs back when he was about to beat this girl's A. I'm going to say that again. She once held Combs back when he was about to beat this girl's A after a fight broke out between two women. I'm holding him by his wrist saying, you need to calm down. This is not your fight. Okay. And the next, former Artistra intern April Limpros claims Combs turned violent with her. I'm going to say that again because we're talking about a white woman. Former Artistra intern April Limpros claims Combs turned violent with her too. In a lawsuit filed in May, Limpros alleges Combs attacked her in a parking garage in the mid-1990s, forcing her to her knees to perform sexual relations. It was one of 4 horrific essays she says that she endured during her on and off relationship with Combs. Early days Cassie right there, folks. As Bad Boy was on the rise, staffers kept Combs' transgressions quiet. I'm going to say that again.
Keep going, because this is long. Just keep going.
Okay. Whether out of loyalty, fear, or a belief that such incidents were rare, outwardly he was the label's unceasing hype man, ad-libbing on tracks and making cameos in his artist videos. It was clear he wanted something bigger for himself. I distinctly remember the day that Clive Davis called and asked me to start garnering press for Puffy, just as if he were the artist, says Brookshire behind his back. I used to call him my problem child, the notorious VIP. Combs got all the press he wanted when he and his LA counterpart, Death Row Records boss, Marion Suge Knight, became entangled in a years-long heavyweight hip-hop fight. The pair had once been friendly. I didn't know that. Combs even modeled Bad Boy after Death Row. He told Rolling Stone in 1997. But the subsequent rivalry between Biggie and Knight's charismatic superstar, Tupac Shakur, would turn into a horrific victory for both labels.
Okay, hold on one second. You're going to continue. Give me 1 minute, Julius. I appreciate you. Nicole Harris, thank you so much for the super chat. These celebs and employees have been talking since the late 90s. Mainstream is just finally listening, waiting for the animal worshiping to come out. Ooh. Right, Nicole, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the super chat. Okay, continue on, Julius.
Combs was fond of Shakur, admiring his ability to marry street credibility with mainstream appeal. Burroughs notes that the Bad Boy team spent the summer of 1993 studying the rapper's triumphant hit I Get Around as a blueprint for a commercial hip-hop record. Desperate to be taken seriously, Combs tried to foster a friendship, but Shakur wasn't interested. Pac didn't have any kind of respect for Puff. Says 90 hip-hop photographer Monique Bunn, who was close with Wallace and other Bad Boy artists. To Shakur and even Wallace, Bunn says Combs was a corny executive. Instead, Shakur bonded with Wallace, who he viewed as his peer, Burroughs remembers. As a result, he says, referring to Combs, there was someone on the sidelines jealous. Go ahead, Diva.
Thank you. I appreciate you. The friendship would be short-lived. After Shakur was ambushed and pow 5 times in the lobby of Quad Studios in Times Square in 1994, he blamed Combs and the Bad Boy crew for setting him up, which Combs has always denied. From there, everything got blown out of proportion, Bunn says. Bad Boy and Zepp started encouraging Wallace to write certain songs, Burroughs said. Despite the rapper not feeling so beefy with his former friends, with tensions frothing, Combs released Wallace's single "Who Shot Ya" in 1995. It was widely billed as a snaring provocation aimed at Shakur, though Wallace was adamant it wasn't. Shakur responded with the ferocious hit 'em up, pushing hostilities to their peak. Does anybody else want to jump in here?
I do it.
I can read Diva.
All right, Savannah and then Katrina. So go ahead, Savannah.
And then
Okay.
you.
Okay. No, thank you, E. Okay, go ahead.
And don't
Yep.
forget about me neither.
Okay, I won't. Thank you, y'all. Okay, go ahead, Savannah.
Okay, where do we, because this was just getting good. Where do we stop?
I know. Perhaps
Paul?
seeing a promotional play.
Perhaps seeing a promotional play, Combs stoked the East Coast West Coast rivalry. The two labels' heads traded jabs, with Knight cast as the intimidating, cigar-chomping, gang-affiliated boss, and Combs the slick, clean-cut executive. When a 25-year-old Shakur was emmed in September 1996 in a drive-by pow in Vegas, Knight immediately pointed the finger at Combs, who denied involvement. Some Bad Boy employees received personal death threats soon after. I didn't recall reading in the employee manual that dodging bullets was a part of my job description, Brookshire says. Last September, Compton Crips gang member Keefe D, as we all know, was charged with Shakur's his trial is set to begin in November. Davis has claims Combs offered $1 million for a hit on Shakur. Combs vehemently denies the claim. 6 months after Shakur's death in March 1997, Wallace, 24, was attending a Soul Train Music Awards after party in Los Angeles when a gunman opened fire on his GMC Suburban, killing him, unaliving him. Police considered the homicide an unsolved act of retaliation. Multiple reports allege Wallace had been preparing to leave Bad Boys shortly before his unaliving. It didn't help that Combs had been fighting with Wallace's attorneys, who were trying to wrest back the rapper's publishing rights. I remember that. I will never give it up until I'm unalived and my bones are crushed into powder, Combs told the lawyers, according to the Big Payback. Biggie was absolutely about to leave Puff, Bun says. I know for a fact because he told me that. Another source adds, everybody wanted to leave Puffy. Everybody leaves him. Ooh. She was crying and we were telling him, get off of her. We were screaming for her. Combs capitalized on the shock and sorrow over Wallace's unaliving. Guess he did. Brookshire, who had been traveling in the same SUV as Wallace during press events the day before he unalived, says Combs denied her request for time off to process her grief. Instead, just 2 weeks after the slaying, she says Combs ordered her to focus all efforts on Wallace's upcoming album, Life After Unaliving, which was huge. Combs demanded it be number one, top 10, she recalls. It sold nearly 700,000 copies in its first week. I still have mine. When Rolling Stone approached Bad Boy about a cover opportunity a few months after Biggie's unaliving, Burroughs claims he advocated for the late rapper to take the spot. I was telling Sean, let's make it Biggie. You still have a chance for a cover in the future, Burroughs recalls. He's like, no, he's gone. I'm putting out Combs' debut album, No Way Out, in July. I need to be on the cover of Rolling Stone. Wow. Combs, his cover. I didn't know that. I do recall the cover though. Combs got his cover. And 2 years later, he acknowledged how Biggie's unaliving had been big business. Yet his mom, Miss Wallace, didn't get hardly anything. I think his passing added to the fame, Combs told Rolling Stone in 1999. At least 2 million of the nearly 5 million copies of No Way Out sold were due to his passing, straight up. And that doesn't necessarily feel good, but that's the reality. Even Death Row's fearsome boss, who's currently serving a 28
year manslaughter sentence and has been labeled a boogeyman of hip hop, says Combs' behavior was distasteful. For Suge to say that about you. When Pac left, I didn't pick up a microphone, Knight said on his prison podcast. I picked up the pieces.
Mm,
Ooh.
mm.
Ooh. And now we're into section 3. Ooh.
All right. Who wants to take over now? Go ahead.
Okay, I got that. In the late 1990s, fans regularly gathered outside the Daddy's house studio in Midtown Manhattan, angling to see famous faces or pass along a mixtape. We had built this machine, the hottest hip hop label in the world, and people started to jockey to get next to Puff, Joy said. As the new millennium dawned, hip hop entered its bling era with Combs and his artists mining the melodies of 1980s pop songs to guarantee commercial hits. They were matching shiny suits, spit raps about designer socks and yachts, draped themselves in diamonds, and filled their big budget videos with fawning women and bombastic psychotechnics. Yeah, okay. Pyrotechnics, sorry. The label was thriving of Biggie legacy and hosted by rising star Mace, Shine, and Black Rob. Combs won Grammys and was nominated for his work with outside artists Mariah Carey and R. Kelly. He entered the upper echelons of New York City, partying with Revlon billionaire Ron Perlman and Donald Trump. There was certain narcissism and attitude objectifying and just women, but all people, and waiting to be with other men who enjoyed moving around like chess pieces. Charma says of Combs, adding that he was the standard bearer for hip hop as capitalism and social mobility play. Becoming a dominant force in the industries only seemed to amplify Combs' bullying behavior. In April 1999, he barged into the office of Interscope Records. Executive Steve Stout and alleged turned violent. Combs was furious that Stout didn't cut him from a crucifixion scene in Nas' music video before sending it to MTV. He punched me in the face and he grabbed the phone and bashed me in the head with it, Stout recounted to the LA Times. Combs probably settled with Stout, reportedly for $500,000, and dodged 7-year prison sentence by pleading to a reduced charge of harassment. That summer, Combs released his second album, Forever. The album, critical and commercial failure. It sold less than half of what its predecessor did, hardly diminished Combs' star power. Okay. A few months later, in December, Combs was arrested after a nightclub shooting, which the 3 people were injured. His newest star, Shine, a.k.a. Jamal Michael Barrow, was convicted of firing the shots and sentenced to 10 years. Barrow was deported back to Belize upon his 2009 release. Combs, meanwhile, was charged with weapon possession and attempted bribery, and then girlfriend Jennifer Lopez fled the shooting in a Lincoln Navigator that reportedly ran 11 red lights. Golly. Combs was facing up to 15 years in prison if convicted. Kevin Rogers Francis, a host at Combs' restaurant, Justin, who did marketing work for Combs' short-lived magazine Notorious, recalls the mogul scrambling for money, shuttering the magazines, and hitting the restaurant drawers for cash, in which Francis presumed was an effort to cover hefty legal bills. The prosecutor claimed Combs offered a cash to witnesses after some said Combs was the shooter. Victim Natalia Rubin has been adamant that Combs fired the bullet that tore through her nose. I'm sorry, okay, so I can say that, through her nose. Combs' own driver testified that Combs offered him $50,000 using a $40,000 pinky ring as collateral. If he would say he owned the unlicensed pow pow found in the SUV, others have claimed Combs paid as much as $1 million to Barrow through an intermediary to buy his silence. Barrow denies the claim to Rolling Stones, calling it ridiculous and misinformation. After a 6-week trial, Combs was acquitted in March in 2001. With this mounting scandals, a tabloid relationship with Lopez, and the popularity of his Sean John clothing line, which launched in 1998, Combs entered the pop culture stratosphere. It became a point of pride to work for Bad Boy, says former employee Fash Rodriguez. It wasn't just a company, it was a lifestyle. But Combs was difficult to work for. Employees wanted to stick around, had to learn how to speak to Puffy. Brookshire and multiple sources say a demanding boss Combs often yelled to get his point across and fired employees on a whim. No one on his team at Bad Boy spoke back to him. Former Daddy's House studio manager Newsom says no one challenged him. Another source recalled Mace, whose real name is Mason Bethia. Mason Bethia? Is that his name?
Mhm.
Okay. Calling Combs massa behind his back. Beppa did not reply to a request for comment. He was so volatile, says source who sometimes worked with Bad Boy. He always on the edge of snapping and being scary. People did whatever he says to stay in his good graces. And Puffy exploited people's desires to be in this environment. Why is nobody saying anything? They're scared of him.
They're scared of him. Like, who's going now? Go ahead, E. Or is that you? Go ahead, E. Part 4. Why is nobody saying anything? Are people scared of him? Go ahead, E.
And just a heads up, my screen may be a little bit delayed with the moving, but why is nobody saying anything? Are they that scared of him? After Combs' acquittal in the nightclub shooting in 2001, he reportedly headed straight to church. He later made a less God-fearing visit to the Peninsula Hotel, where he was throwing a massive bash to celebrate the verdict. It was there that Anna, a freelance graphic designer working with Bad Boy's marketing team, says Combs approached her and began to massage her shoulders. The woman requested pessimism, citing fear of retribution. I'm getting touched on my shoulder, my arms, my back. He's like, oh yeah, you like that? I know you like that. Like really, really gross. Anna recalls sharing her story publicly for the first time. I was like, not so much. And I sort of floated my way out of there. Anna says she avoided Combs the rest of the night. Weeks later, her boss girlfriend confided that Combs allegedly approached the boss the night of the party to solicit me for sex. Anna says a friend confirmed to Rolling Stone that Anna told her about the encounter and the proposed arrangement when they began working together a few years later. The boss did not return Rolling Stone's request for an interview, and the girlfriend declined to speak. I felt quite unsettled about this for many years. When people ask me about my days at Bad Boy, it's just overshadowed by his crap, Anna says, adding that Combs treated her as though she existed to accommodate his whims. Whew. All right. Still hasn't shifted on my screen yet. Sorry, Diva.
You're fine.
Combs often flaunted his sexual encounters, even if underage artists were around to see. A teenage Usher briefly lived at Combs' New York house in the early 90s as a young Bad Boy protege. Puff introduced me to a totally different set of sex specifically. Usher recalled to Rolling Stone in 2004, there was always girls around. You open a door and see somebody doing it or several people in a room having an O. You never knew what was going to happen. Casey Sheridan, a member of the teenage girl band Dream, recalls the group being summoned for a meeting with Combs to a Beverly Hills hotel bungalow when she was 15 and awkwardly eyeing a purse and a pair of heels by the front door as the group waited. After 20 minutes, a bathrobe Combs emerged from a nearby room. It's like you can't even keep our innocence. I'm 15 walking into this situation knowing exactly what he was doing next door, Sheridan says. Feeding off his fame and power, Combs appeared to be pushing his most sickening impulses even further. Model Crystal McKinney was photographed during a star-studded Sean John fashion show in February 2003. Hours later, according to her recent lawsuit, Combs said she was acting too uptight and pressured her to take a hit from a lace joint. She alleges he then forced her to perform OS on him despite her resistance. The night sent McKinney into a tailspin of anxiety and depression that she says resulted in an S attempt. I had a whole future in modeling mapped out that was stolen from me. Being essayed and having no recourse is so painful. McKinney tells Rolling Stone, I felt like I was dying every day because I did not yet have the strength to come forward. I hope that I hope that by speaking out, I can help other survivors come forward and seek justice. Not long after, between the spring and fall of 2003, a 17-year-old girl was out one night with friends at a Detroit area lounge when a man in a suit approached and allegedly introduced himself as Combs' best friend. The man purportedly called Combs and let the girl speak directly with the famed producer who was twice her age. The man, alleged to be former Bad Boy president Harve Pierre, convinced the girl to board a private jet, take the 2-hour flight to Teterboro, New Jersey, just outside New York City, to meet Combs in person. According to a lawsuit filed last December by the girl, now an adult Jane Doe plaintiff. The high school junior, she was awestruck by the opportunity, documenting the trip with photos from inside Daddy's house, where she's pretending to record a song, pointing at Combs' initials on the wall and sitting on Combs' lap. The photos were included in the lawsuit to corroborate the woman's allegations that she was GR'd that night by Pierre Combs and a third unidentified man inside the recording studio. The woman claims the man plied her with drugs and alcohol until she was nearly unconscious and unable to consent. As she started to black out, she claims Combs led her to a bathroom where he removed her skirt and underwear and peed her from behind. As she drifted in and out, the unnamed assailant replaced Combs and arred her from behind as Combs watched, she says. The woman alleges Pierre replaced the second man and arred her too. When the men finished, she fell into a fetal position on the floor in excruciating pain and was later escorted out of the building and flown back to Michigan, she claims. Combs' lawyer filed a motion to dismiss, calling Doe's account a decades-old tale, a baseless claim, and an effort to extract an undeserved financial recovery. Pierre did not reply to a request for comment, but previously called the accusation fiction and a desperate attempt for financial gain. Drugs were a consistent part of Combs' life, Ventura alleges in her lawsuit, claiming he was addicted to prescription painkillers and took ecstasy frequently. She claims he had pills and other drugs out in the open like candy, and that he would supply alcohol, ecstasy, cocaine, and a sedative GHB, ketamine, and marijuana during freak-offs. But far from enhancing a party vibe, Ventura and others say these substances only darken his mood. Once Combs got drunk or high enough, says one frequent party guest in the early 2000s, he would turn violent and loud. He would take his anger out on people. At several points when Combs was extremely intoxicated, Ventura alleges, he beat her. An industry source says that once they left the party at Combs' home because they felt so uncomfortable watching an aggressive Combs yell at Ventura throughout the night. You could tell in her eyes that she was scared. They said, I'm like, is this normal? Am I tripping right now? Why is nobody saying anything? Are they that scared of him? In a 2015 appearance on the Breakfast Club radio show, Combs described the deal he offers his girlfriends. If I'm in a relationship with you, 25% of your time, you're going to just feel like, oh man, I hate being here. This guy cheated on me. He lied on me, Combs explained, while sitting next to his teenage son, Christian. But then there's 75% of, I'm going to make you the happiest woman in the whole wide world. I'm going to be there to support your dreams. I'm going to be there to hold you, listen to you. I'm going to be there to be your best friend. And I promise you'll smile the most. You know who I am. This is what it is. Which deal would you choose?
Mm.
There was one term of the deal Combs never disclosed, sources say. The women who signed up for it were not allowed to walk away. Damian Vasquez, a former Bad Boy intern, says after Combs and Lopez broke up, Combs had staffers camp outside MTV's TRL studios with signs to win her back. Ventura claimed that every time she hid, Combs' network of operatives found her and implored her to return, including a Bad Boy executive who threatened to withhold the release of her music if she didn't return Combs' phone calls. After Ventura left Combs, he tried to paint a picture of a heartbroken, hurt man. A source who knew the couple throughout their relationship says, when the reality was, he's a liar and an abuser. Burroughs believes Combs loses at a young age, especially the M of his father took a toll. Rewind. Burroughs believes Combs' losses at a young age, especially with the M of his father, took a toll on his relationships. He is fortified now with the money and power, but abandonment and the act of leaving can bring about vicious results. He says, and the women catch it the worst. Combs' longtime partner, Kim Porter, who died of lobar pneumonia in 2018, was no exception. Their relationship was tumultuous, according to two sources who claimed Combs physically abused her. I remember Kim used to go through a lot of stuff, former Bad Boy rapper Mark Curry says. If you live around them, you get to see the toxic relationship. I think every relationship he had that I experienced around him was like that. Combs and Porter first got together in 1994 and dated on and off until 2007. She ended it for good upon learning Combs had fathered a secret child while she was pregnant with their twin daughters. There were other infidelities, including Combs' affair with Lopez, but Combs never let Porter truly move on. She told Essence, he still called 50, 60 times a day, she said. It was like my life was not my own. He was very, very intrusive. In 2000, Porter's fledgling courtship with the late music executive Shakur Stewart enraged Combs. When the industry gathered for L.A. Reid's wedding in Italy that summer, Combs went to Stewart's room after the ceremony and allegedly broke a chair over Stewart's head. Stewart's mother and two of his close friends tell Rolling Stone he left him bleeding on a hotel floor in Italy. Stewart's mother, Portia, says he had to have stitches, and then Combs threatened him. I'm going to K you. That's when I said, you need to get out of this business. This man is crazy. By the mid-2000s, I'm sorry, Diva, did you want to enter that?
No, you're fine. I said, oh my God. Go ahead.
By the mid-2000s, Bad Boy had hemorrhaged several top acts, including Faith Evans, Total, 112, Craig Mack, and Foxy Brown. 2 decades later, nearly all of Combs' artists have left him. Apart from himself, stepson Quincy Jones and son Christian, only Janelle Monáe is left on the label. A rep for Monáe did not reply to a request for comment. Machine Gun Kelly's last track released with Bad Boy was in February of 2024. He started his own label, established 19 under Interscope. Rolling Stone reached out to a dozen of artists who've been signed to Bad Boy to ask about their experiences with the label. Many declined, with one saying, I don't have anything nice to say when it comes to my time with Bad Boy. It was not a good experience and one I really don't want to relive. Those who did speak to Rolling Stone say that they felt their time with the label was squandered through lack of direction. Several spent years at Bad Boy without releasing any music.
Good gosh.
Curry, who was affiliated with the Bad Boy from 1997 to 2006, has been one of the most outspoken detractors, writing about his dealings with Combs in his 2000 book, Dancing with the Devil, How Puff Burned the Bad Boys of Hip Hop. He says Combs repeatedly promised to produce his solo album, but never gave him a budget. There's different ways you can K a person, Curry tells Rolling Stone. I've noticed him K a lot of people's spirits. Not everyone felt the same. Singer-songwriter Kalina Harper says one of the highs of her life was joining Combs, Diddy's Dirty Money group in 2009. She was later invited to work with Combs on the Love album. He was effing cool as ish, she says, adding that artists who blame Combs for the trajectory of their careers may suffer from disgruntled employee syndrome. Years ago, there were whispers that some bad boy A&R executives would expect sexual favors from female artists in exchange for professional attention. I would hear about female artists being asked to do stuff with some of the other male executives, recalls one of former Bad Boy staffer. Like, we can make or break your career. What are you going to do about it? Going to HR was useless. If you want your job, you're not going to complain, they add. On the Call, her daddy podcast in 2022, Danity Kane's Aubrey O'Day said she was kicked out of the group because she wasn't willing to do certain things. Not talent-wise, but in other areas. She refused to get specific, saying the truth was what you can imagine. There was no Me Too, she added. You signed 1 million NDAs and 1 million contracts that took away your rights. Asked by Rolling Stone to elaborate, O'Day says the answer to what happens if you don't do what the executives want, I'm the full-blown effing story of that. Some who left Combs worried he might try to expel them from the industry altogether. Brooklyn rapper Lenise Babs Bunny Wiley of Combs' MTV reality show Making the Band says she was blackballed after leaving the label. Bun, the photographer, claims her gigs instantly dried up after winning a lawsuit against Combs in 2000 for withholding a set of Biggie's photos from her. She claims a friend at the Fader magazine told her that Combs personally called the office and said if they worked with Bun, Bad Boy will pull his advertising from the magazine.
Woo.
Talk show host Wendy Williams wrote in her 2004 book that Combs spent a lot of money and used a lot of his influence to try to crush her. After she posted an alleged photo of Combs and another man on her website, Combs denied it was him in the photo. And music producer Easy Mo B claimed in February that after he challenged Combs over a credit Combs had given himself on the producer's song, he noticed certain people wouldn't deal with me. He's someone you don't want to make an enemy of, says one former employee of Combs. When people do go against him, that person gets ostracized. For some, the effects of being shunned by Combs were profound. Francesca Sparrow joined Bad Boy Entertainment in 1998, rising through the company to become Combs' right-hand woman. But Sparrow alleged in an age and disability discrimination lawsuit that Combs illegally fired her in 2010. She claimed Combs froze her out after she took time to recover from a hip surgery and voluntarily checked into rehab to treat a lapse in her sobriety. Sparrow tried to continue working in the music industry, but opportunities would disappear. A family member says, the alleged blacklisting led to significant health issues, which brought her to her end, the relative says. She was devastated by the way she was treated. She felt betrayed. Sparrow died in 2014. As ex-Bad Boy president Burroughs puts it, Combs never forgets a grudge. If he sees a snag in the sweater, he'll pull. For Combs' 50th birthday in 2019, revelers gathered at his 17,000 square foot Holmby Hills home in black tie attire and beaded gowns. Sipping champagne and ice-cold Ciroc, the vodka brand Combs shrilled for a share. I'm trying to say I lost my spot when the screen moved.
Okay, I'll put it over here. Share profits.
For Combs, there it is. Sorry. They admired the breathtaking Kerry James Marshall painting that Combs had recently purchased for $21 million. Guess Beyonce and Jay-Z rubbed shoulders with Dr. Dre, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kobe Bryant, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Kim Kardashian, Usher, and Post Malone. It was a crowning moment for Combs, a testament to the multifaceted success he had worked so hard to achieve. Combs had conquered fashion, winning Menswear Designer of the Year at the prestigious Council of Fashion Designers of America Awards in 2004, acted on Broadway, become the co-owner of the DeLeon Tequila, founded the Revolt TV cable network, purchased the sports beverage company Aquahydrate with Mark Wahlberg, and filmed a cameo in Disney's 2014 movie Muppets Most Wanted. He even legally changed his middle name to Love. With his hard edges seemingly polished away by his gilded life, Combs appeared untouchable. It was all perfect. It was all the perfect cover for his alleged physical and SA of Ventura. Ventura says in her lawsuit that there were multiple witnesses to her alleged mistreatment, but they were too afraid to cross Combs. She claims with Combs, head of security, and his assistant began to cry when they saw the extent of her injuries in an open letter published by Rolling Stone. Ventura's friend Tiffany Red wrote that she was present the night Ventura says she was forced to leave her 2015 surprise birthday party for another freak-off with Combs. Red recalls seeing Ventura backed up against a wall, with Combs cursing her out. She said Ventura returned later that night apparently sedated, while Combs screamed at Red, "Tell your girl she wants some birthday D. I flew all the way from Miami. She gonna get this birthday D." Red wrote that she told a visibly angry Combs to leave Ventura alone. She recalled Combs ignoring her and driving off with Ventura in a golf cart. Combs' physical abuse extended to Ventura's inner circle as well. According to her lawsuit, she claims one of her friends obtained a settlement after a physical altercation with Combs in 2018. After Ventura's birthday party in 2015, a severely intoxicated Combs allegedly dangled another of Ventura's friends over a 17th floor balcony. Neither friend responded to a request for comment for Rolling Stone. One source who worked with Combs and Ventura says people fail to speak up because Combs doesn't believe in being told no. And if you get caught up in the wrath of that, it can be very dangerous. In her lawsuit, Ventura says she finally found the strength to leave for good when Combs allegedly forced his way into her apartment and AR'd her in September of 2018. The night she met him for dinner to discuss breaking up, she claims Combs pulled off her clothing and eyed her as she repeatedly said no and tried to push him away. A month later, people reported the relationship was over, citing a source who said Ventura was moving on with renewed focus on her career. Though Ventura's alleged hell at the hands of Combs was largely unknown until she filed her complaint, overlapping public claims about Combs' behavior made minor headlines during their decade together. In 2017, Combs was sued for SH by personal chef Cindy Ruda in a lawsuit that seemed bizarre at the time, but gained renewed scrutiny. Ruda claimed that when she worked for Combs in 2015 and part of 2016, he regularly had her serve dishes while he and his guests were engaged in S activity. Ruda claimed Combs once asked her to prepare a Pascal meal, then greeted her fully naked and asked if she liked his naked body. One incident in August 2015 allegedly involved Combs ordering Ruda to serve him breakfast in his room and then partaking in SA with model Gina Heine as Ruda dropped the food on a table and fled. The lawsuit was forced into arbitration and ended privately. A lawyer for Ruda did not reply to a request for comment. Heine, meanwhile, reemerged in 2019 with claims that Combs beat her. In an interview with gossip blogger Tasha K., Heine said she started dating Combs in 2014 and that he offered her $50,000 to terminate a pregnancy that year. Heine also said Combs shoved her to the ground and dragged her by her hair in 2018 and in a jealous rage once stomped on her stomach. The allegations barely made a ripple, and Heine went silent after the interview. Heine declined to comment for this article. The Detroit area Jane Doe, who sued Combs and Pierre in December, tells Rolling Stone she hopes her lawsuit will hold not just Combs, but also all of those who acted with him, stood silent, and actively covered up his behavior accountable. In her lawsuit, she said her nightmare was not an isolated incident and pointed to another Jane Doe who sued Pierre on November 21st. That woman alleges Pierre groomed and SA'd her when she was his assistant between 2016 and 2017. Then, in early February, Jones, the Love album producer, sued the 73-page complaint filed by lawyer Tyrone Blackburn, which included unusual elements such as photos of the defendants and redacted names that could easily be deciphered, claims that Jones worked, traveled, and often lived with Combs while producing 9 songs for the project. Jones described his experience as hedonistic hellscape. A hedonistic hellscape. He claimed to have hundreds of hours of footage and audio capturing Combs. His staff and his guests engaged in serious illegal activity, including the use and distribution of ecstasy, cocaine, ketamine, marijuana, candy, mushrooms, GHB, and 2C, a pink powder described as a mixture of ecstasy and cocoa. He claimed that at one party in July 2023, Combs fed him ecstasy-laced liquor until he blacked out and woke up naked next to an S worker. Jones said Combs terrorized him with constant, unsolicited, and unauthorized groping and touching of his anus, and that Combs kept him compliant by displaying weapons, threatening to eat his face, and according to the suit, informing Jones that he was willing to K his own mother if he must to get what he wanted. Combs' lawyer called the complaint pure fiction. He is this monster. Nothing has changed, Jones told Rolling Stone shortly before filing his lawsuit. This guy got no soul. He has no duty to anyone, not even his kids.
No, not the kids. Oh.
Combs' associates, meanwhile, have faced allegations of their own. 25-year-old Brendan Paul, who Jones described in his lawsuit as Combs' drug mule, was arrested and charged with cocaine possession during the raids on Combs' properties. Paul pleaded not guilty, but later accepted a deal in May, agreeing to complete a drug diversion program, after which his case will be dismissed. The deal was offered because Paul is considered a first-time offender, and the substance amount allegedly found was not of a trafficking level, a spokesperson for the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office said. In early April, yacht steward Grace Marquez sued Combs and his 26-year-old son, Christian, alleging that Christian deed and aid her on board a luxury vessel rented for a 2022 vacation in St. Martin while filming a scrap family reality show for Hulu. According to NBC News, I'm butchering her name, Armake can be heard in an audio recording asking Christian to stop touching her legs. She claims Christian later tried to force her to perform OS allegations he denies through his father's lawyer. Christian Combs lawyer Aaron Dyer did not reply to a request for comment on the allegation, but previously claimed that Omarke's complaint was rife with manufactured lies and irrelevant facts. On May 4th, Combs posted a video of himself standing by an ocean, staring down a tropical monsoon with his arms outstretched as the recorded voice of his spiritual advisor T.D. Jakes booms. Not hysterical, not frantic, not anxious, not fretful, but steady in the storm. While Combs gathers support where he can, the new allegations have reshaped his world. After stepping down from Revolt, he reportedly sold his shares in March. The Harlem charter school he co-founded reportedly cut ties and scrubbed his name from its website. In April, premium liquor giant Diageo, revealed it paid approximately $200 million to buy the outstanding 50% share of their De Leon tequila brand from Combs, fully dissolving their partnership. In a 2023 court filing, Diageo said that Combs had amassed nearly $1 billion from their 15-year relationship, and the wave of lawsuits reignited industry beef with Combs' longtime rival 50 Cent, who is making a documentary about his downfall. Combs is preparing for a fight for his reputation, his legacy, and in some sense, his life. Federal officials declined to say much after the March raids, but a source confirmed to Rolling Stone that investigators in the Southern District of New York interviewed potential witnesses as part of a trafficking and racketeering probe. Agents may also examine Combs' alleged ties to the infamous Black Mafia family cartel after the Detroit Jane Doe alleged in her suit that the group is rumored to have seeded Bad Boy. No criminal charges have been announced as of publication. As trafficking is certainly a potential component of a pattern of racketeering, or it could be a charge of its own. Former federal prosecutor Elizabeth Geddes, a member of the team that successfully prosecuted R. Kelly in New York, tells Rolling Stone that indictments of R. Kelly, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell, high-profile individuals who long evaded real accountability by law enforcement, offer prosecutors a playbook for a possible prosecution of Sean Combs. Combs is known to sport a gold medallion depicting Lazarus, the Bible figure raised from the dead. And why not? He survived the deadly CCNY tragedy, the S that K'd his top artist, and his Club New York criminal trial, and prospered. He named an album No Way Out, but he's always managed to find one. This time may be different. As more accusers and associates emerge with hellish accounts of their time with Combs, as more voices hint that there are darker stories still to be uncovered, he stands exposed in a much harsher light. To some, his claim that his brutal 2016 attack on Cassie represented a rock bottom from which he has since recovered doesn't ring true. One source, who knew the former couple, says the mogul's rage was always on the verge of creeping out. Rock bottom must be his personality, they say. I've never not seen this person. Misa Hilton, the mother of Combs' first son, Justin, had been silent in the wake of Ventura's lawsuit. But after the video broke, she responded by saying, I'm sorry, lost my spot when the screen moved. Oh, I know exactly how she feels. And through my empathy, it has triggered my own trauma. Hilton declined to comment for this article. It's a long overdue reckoning, The Peninsula Hotel still haunts her. People have been sitting with their expectations for years because you don't know what to do with it. Gardner's friend wrote in her recent affidavit that she wishes she had spoken up then, raised hell earlier. She watched her friend grapple with the aftermath. This experience completely changed Lisa as a person, she wrote. Dickerson Neal, too, says she was forever changed by a single night. One date with Sean Combs led to the trauma and pain of S.A. and an ocean's depth of shame. She tells Rolling Stone, learning that Combs allegedly distributed an explicit video of her was devastating, and she suffered debilitating self-doubt and a lifetime of inner turmoil. Those who were watching decades ago have long suspected Combs' legacy would end in disgrace. None of this was really a surprise for me, says one of the Howard alums who had knowledge of Combs' attack on a classmate. You're already an abuser in college. You were already feeling you had to have certain power over people. Another says Combs must now face accountability. It's time. In an Instagram post in late May, Ventura expressed gratitude for all the love and support she's received. With a lot of hard work, I am better today, she wrote. But she added, echoing the experience of many of Combs' accusers, I will always be recovering from my past.
Woo! Ooh!
Wow.
Wow, 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 wow. We got through
I
it.
apologize for butchering the words. Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. We got through it, guys.
Wow.
It was a lot.
Too much.
Too much. Too much. I mean, a lot of stuff we have heard before. There was pieces that were new. But the running theme is not too many people are willing to speak. Not too many people are willing to speak. So I'll go around. We give everybody 60 seconds. I know that was a lot, but we've been on here for a while. Hey, Sasuke, we missed you. We've been on here for a while. Leo, any thoughts?
Boy, Puffy is a demon seed, ain't it? He was a demon seed from birth. I got a process. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot. And all the damaged lives, all the victims, but it's also all these people. We always heard whispers of what was going on, but it's a lot of people that seen his demon works. I call him the great Satan. If people have seen his works and he still climbed the charts, still became a mogul, still held others back, held others down, and all these women who wanted their careers with Diddy, I actually don't know. The only woman that I know of that was on his label that had a lot of success, that sustained at least for a little while, was Faith Evans. But all the rest of them, he tried to control, manipulate, and abuse. Good God Almighty.
Well, like you said, a demon child. Okay. Felicia, you're up.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Diva, for letting us have this moment together. You know, the one thing that I certainly appreciate is the written word. And whether all of that was affirmed and confirmed or on the record or off the record, it read beautifully, was well written. And I don't think any of us here tonight, the 400 of us, I don't think any of us did not learn something new. I was really thrown back by what happened in Italy to that man. Got a chair over the head, got his head busted, blood everywhere. I mean, so ugly. And I didn't know that that liquor company had given him $200 million
Woo!
out of the agreement, and to think that he ain't even going to have that in another couple of months. So he's in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a lot of trouble because according to what Rolling Stone said, he made that billion with the deal he had with them.
Mm.
So, that piece is over where you're making this money to sustain your life and to pay all these legal fees.
Mm-hmm.
So, thank you again. And
Thank you.
he is going to need more. I mean, what did they not tell us? Only people that didn't get mentioned was the twins. Let's pray for them. They're the only ones left out of this mess thus far.
And baby love.
And baby love.
And the other 17-year-old, you know what though? You saw how he got the money for that first lawsuit. They said he came up in the club, busting stuff, looking in registers. He's a whole tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to get the money anyway. He need to get the money. But God bless that mother and said, "Nah, this man crazy. You getting out of this industry. We don't need this money this bad."
Mm-hmm.
And she probably said, don't even look at Kim Porter.
I know that's right.
Savannah, you're up.
But that gentleman unalived himself though, Diva.
Allegedly.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was supposed to take some Ambien and OD, but he said that he felt like he was being stalked. He felt like he was being followed. So, yeah, allegedly he took himself.
That's sad.
I think the word of the night is wow. Wow, wow, wow. And this is a very well written, well detailed article from Rolling Stones magazine for just 6 months of investigation. Imagine what the feds have. I think they have the worst of it. I have been saying from the beginning that there's so much more to come on Sean Combs' story that the public does not know about. There's Usher, Justin Bieber, Chris Brown. I think there's so many more victims. His staff, all the staff that he had in New York, in Florida, LA, I'm pretty sure he mistreated these people. Many of them have probably not been paid or threatened with being deported, or there's just so much more that we don't know about this tyrant that is going to be exposed. So good read. And I as well learned some new things about Diddy tonight. And I'm here for the next chapter.
Ooh, yeah, they're saying that, this man did allegedly unalive himself, but the mother said he would never do that. And now Sasuke saying Chris Lighty of Music is also unalived himself, and he was also part of the bad boy world. Ooh, you said it. Tonight's word is wow. Wayne, you're up.
You were saying, like a lot, they were saying like a lot of people weren't coming forward. And I think people probably aren't coming forward because maybe at the time, they're younger and maybe they're now somebody that we would recognize their name, who they would be. So they already have money. Why associate yourself with this when you have so many other people that are? So I think a lot of people, it's like, they just don't want to be associated with it. So I'm not surprised a lot of people aren't coming forward. Also, I thought seeing the video of Cassie was bad enough. And I know they were trying to say one night that we were trying to make Cassidy a poster child for, being a victim of him. But after hearing this, I mean, people really suffered worse. The man, they got beat in the head with the chair in Italy. So he definitely has to be stopped. And he's not one, I'm trying, some sympathy for. And TD Jakes will probably regret the day he ever met him. Because you put preacher and Satan next to each other. You got that picture? That's all I see. I know what Diddy did, and I know what TD Jake's supposed to be. And how you that close, hugging, high-fiving, and all this BS, and you don't know what's going on. Bad time to have your name tied to Diddy.
You know what though? There's a saying, and don't quote me on the exact words, right, in the church, that it's something to the effect of like, darkness will never override the light. So TD Jakes, if what they're saying is true, you was already in darkness. Because if you really went there to save this man, you wouldn't have got pulled into his darkness. At the very least, he would have got pulled into some of your light. But E, what are your thoughts?
Well, Diva, I do want to thank you for allowing me to read, and also to the readers who went before me. Excellent job, everybody. It is very difficult to read and not sound monotone, and the word hedonist was messing me up because it's not a word I say often. So thank y'all for bearing with me. A few things that stuck out to me, and I'm going to make it 40 seconds or less. Maybe I missed it, but I didn't hear them talk about that coach.
They didn't.
And I thought that was interesting because they mentioned Christian being accused, and I mentioning Justin's involvement in his him being affiliated with somewhat of that illegal behavior. I feel like it just shows that the boys have, to your earlier point, Diva, when you first started, this is all they know. And they're of age now. And so I do believe that, the girls, there's still some hope for them, especially Chan. She's a cutie patootie. And, it's a sad thing. When they mentioned Kim Porter, when I read that part, it took everything in me not to break out and do my own commentary, because I found that interesting of everything that she endured, the way that they're framing it. And maybe it is true that the breaking point for her was him having another woman pregnant at the same time. Not him hitting you, not him cheating on you, not the freak offs, not the drugs. Him getting another woman pregnant at the same time was the breaking point. Then all of a sudden you got mad enough and you had the strength to leave. Then you could have been left. And I don't want anyone to misconstrue what I'm saying as victim shaming, but everybody has a breaking point. And if that's yours after everything that transpired prior to, I think that speaks volumes. Last thing, when it comes to this case, because once you're on the Rolling Stone, there's no chance for redemption. This is a nightmare. I know that we put bets that he would be in. I think I said by the summer. Diva, I think you said August. I believe something is going to happen, but I don't know if he's going to end up in jail, because I don't know if he will allow himself to be taken in. But I do think this should be a warning shot, because be clear, this is profitable for these news stations. They're raking in the views and the advertising dollars on this story. And this is going to turn into something bigger than any of us could have imagined, as far as the takedown of the men in hip hop. And I'm not saying that they should be protected, but if anybody cannot see that after this is over, that they're going to have to turn their eyes to someone else, because we've been talking about it and whispering. And I know this is not about Jay-Z, but Diddy is not the only one. And I do think once he's gotten, there will be others to follow.
I appreciate you, E, but I'm wondering that, right? Because with R. Kelly, this man couldn't read or write. Many people assisted him, and they only took R. Kelly down. Listen, let me just say this really quickly. If you was on the panel and wanted to read tonight and I skipped you, listen, y'all, this you're in the moment. It's not an easy thing. And so I do apologize if you missed out on reading, but we got plenty of other stuff to go through with Diddy and plenty of more readings to come. But again, thank you to all the readers. Much appreciated. Yeah, this is a hot mess, but it seems like they take down one giant and then they expect it to leave our mind and us not think about others. I will say this. There should have been more people going down with Epstein. There should have been more people going down with Weinstein. But you see, they didn't have too many others go down with them. And you see, they played head games with us. Remember, they was giving us the list of individuals that was involved with I want to say the Epstein. And they claimed it was coming the beginning of the year. And then this whole Diddy thing took over and they never mentioned it again. But
It's supposed to come. I'm sorry to interrupt you. It's supposed to come. What's his name? The Santos, whatever the man name. The mayor, the governor in Florida says he's going to release the names in July. So we're gonna see if he's gonna release those names in July. But that's what he said.
Yeah, well, they claimed it was supposed to be January of this year. Julia, 67.
Before you, I'd like to answer E. E, they did mention Steve Stout in the beginning. I think maybe on page 3. Okay.
I
And
thought
they
she was talking about the coach that he beat up for his son.
in the head, yeah, they mentioned him too in that beginning piece. I think it's page 3. And I think the reason why they didn't go into detail about Miss Porter is because she is the mother of these twins and she's not here. And I believe they were being very respectful to her.
Okay.
Because they did mention the other lawsuit that wasn't as respectful.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
My screen shifted a little bit.
It's Julius.
Go ahead, Julius.
Maddening. Wow and maddening. I always said on the panel, you know, because my upbringing, part of it was in the church and how we was always shown the images of a certain being. I said, no, he's not that being. It could be either one of us. Any one of us. And reading this piece proved my point. And folks, I don't know when he's gonna be indicted, but I know it's coming. Because yes, Rolling Stone can put out some mess, but this is a very, very, very detailed piece. And that will tell me that his indictment is imminent. Because usually these media companies, they usually just like to keep, the hush hush. Just even with R. Kelly, they still wanted to keep it hush hush. It is different with Diddy. I feel in my spirit that he is done. There's no amount of rehab or therapy that he can attempt to do to reverse this. He is done.
I appreciate you. Tay, you're up.
That was words to beat a girl in college right there. Then Cassie in the hotel right there. And you got jealous. Kim Poster. I mean Kim. You know who I'm talking about, Diva.
Mm-hmm.
You got jealous because Biggie Smalls had a friendship with Tupac. And that just, boy, they just plain wrong right there. Because you was jealous between Tupac and Biggie Smalls because they got friendship right there. Because you want to stay in the spotlight so everybody remember your name right there. I'm still waiting for him to get clink. I'm still waiting for that, Diva. That's all.
I appreciate you. He will not get unalived by anybody. You know, and the reason why I'm saying that is now this thing is too big. It will distract from the whole process, and the people will lose their natural mind. Mm-mm. If anything,
They're already starting to lose their natural minds. Just on our chat just a couple of days ago, they were going at us, coming at us for nothing. They're already starting to lose their natural minds because this is maddening.
right. I want to get through to everybody, but yeah, but let me go through the people. Savannah, you're up. 60 seconds.
I went already, Diva.
Oh, you did. Wayne, did you go already?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank you. And Katrina?
Now this is my turn. I've been heard about the story with Shakur, with Mark Curry. You know, Mark Curry came out with that story first. Remember, Diva, when he was saying that he was mad because Kim Porter was dating Mark Curry, even though he was in a relationship with J Lo. Did he have these women? He treat these women like a doll, a collectible. When I'm ready to play with you, I'm taking you off the shelf. Other than that, you stay on the shelf until I get you down. That's how he treat these women. He feels like if he's been with these women, he own them or they got to stay with him. He always try to keep his way. He always try to keep himself connected to the women that in his life. The thing of it is, this man is a deviant. He is a walking demon on earth. If anybody want to see the face of evil, look at this man. This man had did so many things and got away with it. It's pathetic and it's ridiculous. And everybody claimed they scared of him or whatsoever. And it's because of the things that he did. The thing of it is, if he get caught, if he already caught himself in a jam, but he's gonna be a snitch because his daddy was a snitch, and he's gonna snitch. I guarantee you, he's not gonna go down by himself. He's gonna snitch something out. You watch what I tell you. And the thing of it is, I think when they come for him, he might be in OD'd or something because I can't see himself letting himself be arrested and spending his life in prison. That's not him. He's a narcissist. He wants to be in the spotlight. He can be in the spotlight if you behind bars. So he's not going to settle for that. He's a deviant. He's a demon. And these women, maybe because they didn't have the the status to come out, so nobody would believe them, or they were scared or cowered down. But the ones that did know, that had a little name, that had a little stature behind them, they should have came out and told stuff too, because maybe the next woman wouldn't have went through what they went through. But as they said, Cassie was laughing at Kim Porter getting the beat down, and then look what happened to you. You honestly think it was going to be different? I mean, I just don't understand that. But either way, either or, we'll see what's going to happen to Diddy. We already got our plan, but we never know what's going to happen at the end. That's all I got, Diva.
Thank you, Emmanuel. You're up.
Listen, I read the article earlier and then I heard y'all read it, and even the second time, I'm just baffled, and on how far this behavior goes all the way to college, and how just he was able to get away. I agree with everyone else. The personification of a monstrosity of evil. I do thank Cassie for just getting the ball rolling and kind of making us all talk about this once again. I agree with Diva. I don't think he's going to get unalived because I agree with what Candace Owens said, which was that he is a Fed and CIA asset. So it's going to be really interesting. Initially, my prediction was that he'll be handled by October. I think that probably by the end of the summer.
Yeah, we have to see. I think his time is coming. We're way into overtime, so I'm not going to show the feel good story tonight because it was pretty long. It's longer than the 4-minute one. But I want to thank y'all for being here and hanging out as we read through the Rolling Stones article. They had a lot in there. I think there's some common themes. The common themes are he wants to be powered over you, right? Another common theme is that he uses the same MO. He uses substances, okay, allegedly to, do whatever it is to take control over you. And then he has a problem letting go. It's like he can let go of you, but you can try to let go of him, but he will never let go of you. If he wants to just pop in and think it's like Katrina said, like you're a little doll, sitting there waiting for him. You can't ever be with anybody else, but he can be with whoever he wants, and he's constantly going to control your life. He's with another woman, and Kim Porter was getting 50 to 60 phone calls a day. That is insanity. Pure insanity. And listen, every man that he went to do something to, it had to be some stronghold. There was some people backing him up, that these people couldn't even defend themselves or kind of retaliate. Listen, guys, I appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. If you did not hit the like button coming in, hit the like button on the way out. Good night and goodbye, everybody.
Do not treat the diva or strike down. Thank you.